Welcome back to Mighty Mac on YouTube. Once again, if you guys like the content, be sure to subscribe today to the channel as we get ready for the upcoming 2025 season. We have a lot planned for this upcoming year, so if you want to stay on top of the drag racing world, then be sure to subscribe today so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Without further ado, let's get into the video. JCM Racing announced yesterday that for the 2025 season, they will be fielding an all-female Nitro team with the pairing of former U.S. Nationals winner Alexis, DeJoria, who will be competing full-time, and FAA Top Fuel World Champion Zetterstrom, who will be running a part-time schedule with 10 races planned that are to be announced at a later date. Alexis DeJoria announced the week prior of her departure from DC Motorsports, where she finished 11th in the points last season, to move over to drive for JCM, with Mike Neff being the crew chief, while Ida will stay paired up with John Schaefer on her team. Someone who was not included in this announcement is 8-time Top Fuel World Champion Tony Schumacher, which took many in the sport by surprise. JCM Racing made their arrival as part owner of Tony Schumacher's dragster in 2022, later buying a majority stake of the team in July and winning their first race at the following event in Seattle, later going on to finish 12th in the standings that season, then going on winless in 2022, where he finished 9th, and finishing 8th in 2024 with 2 wins at Bristol and St. Louis. Tony Schumacher released somewhat of a statement regarding his plans for 2025 on his Facebook, where he wrote, "Hey everyone, my phone is blowing up with questions and concerns about recent news being posted. I wish I could answer them, but I can't yet. Everything always works out in the end. If it hasn't worked out, then it's not the end. Stay tuned. I'm not done yet. I'm in perfect health, not sick, just working on sponsorship." And it is sad to see Tony Schumacher's departure from JCM Racing. If you watched the channel over the course of the second half of the season, we had interviews with Tony Schumacher where he talked very highly of what he thought the potential for that team was going to be as the confidence got built and the camaraderie was built between him and Mike Neff, as Mike Neff figured out how to tune that top field dragster and helped get Tony Schumacher down the racetrack to try and win some races. They looked very strong over the course of the latter half of the season and looked very strong heading into 2025, much of how they looked strong in 2023 heading into 2024. So it looked like those pieces were starting to get put together, but sadly things just didn't work out, and Tony Schumacher is now left once again on the sidelines looking for a new home to start the 2025 season, as sponsorship continues to be an issue for him. Ever since the U.S. Army left, he has struggled to find a solid home for funding to try and keep his top field career going. He was not on the field in 2021, came back in 2022 for Don Schumacher Racing with JCM Racing as minority owner. Like we said, they bought the team a majority stake by the midway point of the season and have owned it since. Skag joined Don in 2022 for a 10-race partnership for that season, later going on to 2023 to be a full-time sponsor, and then for 2024 having the rug pulled out from under them as Skag Racing made the shocking announcement that they were going to buy out Justin Ashley's top field dragster, Daniel Wilkerson's funny car, and Dave Richards' funny car as well, once again leaving Tony Schumacher without a sponsor heading into the new season. Most of the 2024 season was funded out of pocket by Joe Maynard himself through Leatherwood Distilleries, which is the distillery that he owns. The only time that we got to see sponsors on Tony Schumacher's car were the very few times where we saw companies like Michael Walcher Brewing hop on for races. They were in NASCAR territories, much like I believe Virginia. I know for a fact they're on a Bristol. I believe they're on St. Louis as well. So it's not been a surprise to see Tony Schumacher struggle to find sponsorship. That just seems to be the name of the game for most of the racing world in this new era, as they try to find new homes to try and keep their careers going. And sadly, for one of Top Fuel's greatest, it has been a very hard road for him to find a hard financial ground to keep the career going. And with the news coming out this late in the offseason, is going to make it very hard for Tony Schumacher to find the funding, find the team, and find the ride in time for the Gator Nationals in Gainesville. We're only 2 months away from the start of the season. In order to find a full-time sponsorship, a full-time crew, and a new team that has a top field dragster that you can use, it's going to be very hard, as many teams are already finalizing their projects for this upcoming season. So I would not be surprised to see Tony Schumacher come back maybe in a one-off or maybe some part-time roles. I would expect, hopefully, that he might have a more full-time ride towards the end of the season, but if he makes it to Gainesville and beyond, I'll be surprised by that. I would not be surprised if he shows up by the third race of the season in Pomona or the 4Y Nationals in Charlotte and Las Vegas for the spring races. It's going to be very, very tough for him to find that new home, as so many rides are already swamped up with drivers for full-time rides for the upcoming season. The only thing that's going to be left are those one-off rides from guys like Travis Shoemake in the Scrappers Racing team. That is one of the few rides that I think if he can find the funding, he can go to that team and go run for them. But they already have a second top field dragster with Mike Salinas and Jasmine Salinas. So are they going to have enough people with Travis Shoemake to run it, or are he's going to have to go back to the Lex June setup that they have over there? So this is going to be a very interesting story to follow as we get ready for the 2025 season, whether or not the Sarge will be on the starting line for the first race in Gainesville, because I really hope this is not the last time that we see Tony Schumacher in a top field dragster. He proved this past season that he still belongs in a top field dragster. He continues to get better as the team that he was with was continuing to build momentum race by race by race, and it looked like we were going to see Tony Schumacher have a shot at a championship in the coming years, considering that entering Pomona this past season, he had a shot to mathematically win the championship. It was eliminated through qualifying because of the rain out, but still, he held on to a championship possibility all the way up until the final day of the season. So he proves year in and year out why he is one of the greatest drag racers of all time and deserves to be on the starting line in the NHRA. And I hope and pray that that man is able to find a ride for 2025 and beyond. But if there's one person that is going to replace him, it's Ida Zetterstrom, and I'm happy that it is her that gets the opportunity to run more races in 2025. It's only a 10-race deal. That's not a surprise considering the sponsors that she has with VP Racing and Edelbrock and all that in between. She has struggled to find sponsorship as well. She ran a part-time schedule to end the 2024 season. Now we can hopefully see her run a full 2025 season if she can find more funding. They even put in the press release that there's any sponsors that want to fund her season or Alexis DeJoria's, they have an email that you can contact. So they're still trying to find ways to get her in more races for 2025, and I hope that we get to see that, because man oh man does she prove at Brainerd and beyond that she deserves to be running in an American top field dragster. And that's the name of the game. A lot of good drivers, not enough good rides, and that's just where we're going to be at for right now. But I'm glad that Ida still gets an opportunity to run full-time in a top field dragster and hopefully 2026, part-time in 2025. As for Alexis DeJoria, that was a bit of a shocking announcement to see her make the move from DC Motorsports over to JCM. Obviously, the season did not go how she wanted. It was a bit of a decline considering how she did in 2023, where it looked like she had an opportunity to win some races. It didn't look that strong in 2025. We don't know how this is going to work because the team seemed already strained running a second part-time dragster as it was. And my big question is, if they're strained on running a second part-time dragster, how are they going to run a full-time funny car when that's not a class that they've been in before, besides maybe a one-off sponsorship deal that they've had in the past, but have never had to fully go out and field their own crew? It also is going to raise questions, what is going to happen with DC Motorsports? There are some concerns within the fans that he might just shut the team down altogether, or is Del Worsham going to hop back in a funny car to run again? We saw him appear at the 2022 NHRA finals in Pomona. We have not seen, or my bad, 2023 finals. Have not seen him in a funny car since, as that went down to a DNQ. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all shakes up. There is a lot of silly season news yet to come here in the final 2 months. We have the Puro shootout in a month, but for the NHRA news, we still got a long ways to go before we can officially say who is going to be where for this upcoming season. So if you want to keep up with everything that's going on, subscribe to the channel, follow me on the social media pages down below, Mighty Mac out there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, not TikTok anymore since it got banned, so I can get that one out of my vocabulary, thank God. Leave a comment down below. Where do you think Tony Schumacher is going to land? What do you think of the news of Tony Schumacher departing from JCM Racing? And what do you think this is all going to shake out to be for this upcoming year? Because it's going to be exciting, let me tell you. So be sure to stick around for it. And until the next big spoiler news update, this has been Mighty Mac. We'll see you next time.